God ain't close as he used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking, maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. Mississippi, you find a girl and get married before you're 20. But I've been running like a southbound train, as fast as a northern summer with no one to love. And it's making me wonder if maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. Said if you got whiskey, don't overdrink it. If you find love, don't overthink it. Just find yourself a good one, and don't you let it go. That's what they told. Maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, staying in our hometown. Yeah, in our hometown. Yeah, maybe we should just go there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so everything is back on right now. So that wasn't a provider issue. That time it was actually the internet connection to the house just decided it wanted to take a quick short reprieve, and we seem to be back on right now. So I have to restart a couple things. So I'm going to put this on while I am rebooting the stream. So hold on one second.
And that's the second part of this. Europe is going to be on the hook to help Ukraine deter any future Russia attack, which is why it's important that they're involved in any negotiations and agree to any peace deal along with Ukraine.
Got it. And now also crossing, looks like Zelensky's going to be heading to Italy tomorrow. So we'll see what comes from that. Thank you very much, Dan. Good to have you on. John?
Sandra Y. accused assassin Luigi Mangione flashed a fist pump inside a New York courtroom today. Stay tuned for that.
Okay. Plus, will Jasmine Crockett soon go by the title of senator? The potential political shakeup in Texas next.
All right. Okay, let's pick up where we left off. I got everything set for President Trump to come up at 2 o'clock, so I was able to get that back. Thank you guys for coming back. I apologize. I'm sick, but I guess the internet connection got sick as well. Everything you do, you get the best equipment, you invest in all the good stuff, and then one thing you can't count on is the flipping internet connection going haywire. There's no backup for that. If the internet goes down and the router goes down, you're screwed. I mean, I have about a 30-second to 1 minute window where it will reconnect. And even with a redundant, two things, power and internet have to keep working. But in any event, let's continue. So I'm going to start that segment over. Let's go.
All right, this news just breaking moments ago. Fox News has obtained photos of one of the Somali illegal immigrants wrapped up in the Minnesota fraud scandal, posing with several high-profile Minnesota Democrats, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004. He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells Fox News Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible. We are going to have more on this in our next hour.
All right, so my question with this, what I started to say before I got interrupted, is you're familiar with Somalia. Somalia is one of the worst countries on the planet. They're run by warlords. They have no true government. There's just nothing there. Your worst enemy, you wouldn't want to send them to Somalia. In addition, they have no school system. They don't know anything. So you need to tell me how a guy who's from Somalia can come over here and become a mastermind, not at drugs, not at prostitution, a mastermind of stealing from the U.S. government. Not likely. Not likely that somebody from Somalia would come here and know the intricacies of the U.S. government and how money is dispersed and what programs to apply for and how to make sure the money keeps going. Somebody had to have trained him. Somebody had to have trained all of these people to steal from America. You just couldn't do it. I couldn't land in France and come up with some mastermind plan on how to steal from the French government. He had to have people helping him. He had to have people who helped set them up. The multitudes of them who were stealing billions. And this is what we should be talking about. And that's what I was saying before I got cut off. We should be talking about it and screaming it from the rooftops. You people have stolen billions from us. Not talking about Candace and Mark Levin and Tucker and Benny being gay and Milo and none of that. Why are we not focusing on getting this message out so everybody knows these crooks have been stealing from us and they got help? They didn't do it themselves.
What we're talking about now is looking across the entire state of Minnesota, because it appears that this fraud ring is being perpetrated across all types of government assistance that is meant for families that are hungry, families that need housing, young children that need education, and it's being exploited. And look, the fraud is well known because the Minnesota legislature, an independent oversight committee, called it out years ago. Governor Walz looked the other way because he was benefiting his constituency, and now it's on the backs of hardworking taxpayers to pay it.
It's 26.
So now we've got to pay for it. We're going to have to pay $12 billion back. They don't have it. It's been spent. It's been stolen. And we're not yelling at the rooftops at this? You're telling me the big news today is, hey, Benny might be gay? That's what we want to talk about? No. There is an insidious plan here to keep us and divert us from actually talking about the truth. There is an insidious force that is causing so much of this stuff to happen instead of focusing everybody in lockstep talking about this absolute humongous fraud that had to come from inside. As General Michael Flynn said, the enemy from within. This didn't happen by accident. They brought in patsies and stooges, but nobody's talking about it. I mean, I'm looking at something on Fox where they're talking about frickin' ice cream right now. This is the kind of thing en masse that we should be talking about, saying these people have stolen from us.
Teen all over again. Once again, hardworking Americans are being called racist for objecting to having their generosity taken advantage of by overwhelming waves of immigrants. Over the weekend, the New York Times revealed that a massive fraud had taken place in Minnesota's Somali community, posing as charitable NGOs feeding the hungry or protecting the homeless or servicing autistic kids. Nearly 90 Somalis have been charged with embezzling up to $1 billion in government funding dispersed during the COVID pandemic.
90. That is a criminal organization. 90 Somalians get off a boat and decide they're going to create this massive criminal organization. How? I could literally probably put 90 people in a plane and say, hey, we're going to fly to Italy. All right, so how are we going to take over this situation and make money with the government? I don't know what programs to apply for. I don't know. I can set up some sort of nonprofit. I don't even know what programs to steal from. You have to understand that Tim Waltz and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Keith Ellison and all these people, I'm not saying they were intimately involved, but they had to have looked the other way. You don't steal a couple $1 billion without some people facilitating it. You don't steal a couple $1 billion unless somebody goes, nobody's watching this program. Go apply for program A. Oh, look at program C. They got like $1 billion in there. That's going to be real easy. Because if we knew, we'd apply for it. Hey, how do I get $1 billion from the government that nobody's going to look at? Oh, until Trump shows up. See, that's the other side of this coin, is that the Obama administration wasn't minding the shop.
No children were fed, no homeless were housed. The money was spent instead on luxury cars, mansions, and real estate overseas. And when officials from the Department of Education tried to investigate, the Somali criminals threatened to sue and call them racist in stories that would be sprawled across the news. Can you even imagine being gifted the greatest privilege on earth, the gift of American citizenship, and then turning around and throwing that generosity back in our faces, stealing from the very people who gave you that gift? It is galling. And yet, the liberal cable news channels refuse to even cover the story until they could.
And that's why we have to be talking about it. There are so many people who get their news from CNN or MSNBC or CBS or ABC and all that, and they won't even talk about it. How could you look the other way on billions of dollars being stolen? Unless you were complicit, unless you were told not to look at it. We are being bamboozled on an epic proportion, and right now we're talking about crap. We have people with huge audiences, huge, massive, millions of subscribers. And this isn't being pushed out constantly. Everything these Democrats are doing, billions of dollars. I think that's a little bit more newsworthy than who's going to take the lead at Turning Point USA. I think it's a little bit more newsworthy than, I don't know, Liz Cheney or Adam Schiff. I think that's a little bit more newsworthy than anything that people are talking about.
Make the Somalis the victims of it all, something that President Trump's comments on the story gave them the opportunity to do.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
I don't even know how Somalia is a country. You know, in order to be a country, you got supposedly have borders, maybe a military, maybe, I don't know. So, who's the president of Somalia? And I bet I couldn't fill a little yellow school bus with people like, I'd like to go visit Somalia. Nope. Nobody's going to look to visit Somalia. But for some reason, they all came here. A bunch of them. And they got rich. You guys have probably seen the movie, which one was it? Goodfellas. They had the Lufthansa heist. And De Niro is running the guys, and he's like, don't go out and make any big expenditures. People might see it, and they want to wonder where you got the money from. Somalians didn't care. They went out and bought luxury vehicles. They bought houses. They built big communes in Somalia for some reason. They didn't have a problem flaunting it. You know why? They didn't think they were going to get caught. They weren't getting caught. This had been going on for years. Nobody was even paying attention.
Outrage that the president is giving voice to is completely justified. And focusing on his linguistic choices rather than the actual fraud is just a smokescreen for those complicit in it. It's exactly the kind of gaslighting that got Trump elected in the first and second place. For years, Americans who've been upset about the massive pressure mass migration put on their lives were called racist for wanting their government to think about what's best for America's children before thinking about everybody else's. For years, the liberal media called them racist, a basket of deplorables, xenophobic nativists, and haters for the crime of
every name under the sun. Nazis, fascists, racist, xenophobe, deplorable, homophobe, every phobe you can think of. And Tim Waltz out there trying to deflect is mad because people are driving up past his house calling him retarded. And they're mad because the R word is being spoken. I am tired of these people taking our language. I am tired of being suppressed because we can't say certain words anymore. They are taking this piece by piece by piece from us and stealing our money at the same time.
Opposing their own disinheritance. Unbelievably wealthy pundits and Democratic politicians went on cable news and called working class folks struggling to make it by working 3 jobs racists for thinking that maybe if the labor market was tighter, they wouldn't have to choose between chicken for dinner and soccer practice for their kids. Maybe if the government hadn't plonked 80,000 migrants into their town, housing wouldn't be as prohibitive. And those factory jobs, well, maybe they would be theirs. It's the immigrants who are the victims, the liberal elites insisted, and then went on to hire those immigrants to clean their homes and watch their kids and mow their lawns, paying them much less than they would have had to pay an American.
You know, what's interesting is that she's doing this, Batia, how you say her name, she's doing it on News Nation, and she can't say the real words. She can't call them what they are. They're not immigrants. They're making us say immigrants. I say newcomers because there is such a censorship on saying what they really are. They've taken that from us. They force us to use words like immigrants and migrants. They're not. The first step of fixing this is calling them what they really are. And the media and the networks and everybody else is making sure we don't offend them, but we're racist, fascist, and everything else. I'm done with it.
The outrageous, massive fraud perpetrated by members of Minnesota's Somali community is this exact scenario on steroids. They literally threatened to call Minnesotans racist if they dared to object to being stolen from. But to the left, the only outrage is how Trump talked about the scandal. That's what we learned about America this week. The elites have learned nothing. Donald Trump won the presidency twice by telling the American people, you're not bad for wanting the most basic version of the American dream for yourself and your children.
See, as she's talking about this, understand what we talked about earlier and how President Trump is using the Monroe Doctrine to take care of the Western Hemisphere. Then we'll come back here and sweep up and clean up in America. Taking care of all the feuds, everything that's going on the outside, because this is actually going to be pretty easy. And that's the good news I want to give you today, is cleaning up America is actually going to be easy. And you might be thinking to yourself, how can it possibly be? How can it possibly be that this could even remotely considered easy? I'm going to tell you in a second. I see a big breaking news story. Hold on. Let me see if they talk about it. This is talking about the Supreme Court. Let's go here.
Well, only a couple of weeks now until Christmas. I'm John Roberts in Washington. We're also awaiting new comments from President Trump at the White House as his administration makes the case for an impending Trump economic boom.
The economy has been better than we thought. We've had the 4% GDP growth in a couple of quarters. We're going to finish the year, despite the Schumer shutdown, with 3% real GDP growth.
We have pharmaceutical plants going up. We have semiconductor plants going up. We have the first advanced semiconductor being built recently in Arizona, and so a lot of those jobs are going to, I think, show up next year.
The real standard of living in the U.S., the purchasing power of ordinary Americans has gone up by about $1,200 so far this year.
Okay, correspondent Mark Meredith is reporting live on all of this ahead of the president from the White House. Hey, Mark.
Sandra, I sure am. Good afternoon to you. Any moment now, the president will hold a roundtable focusing on how the American Trump administration can help farmers. Many of the supporters that helped him out in his multiple White House bids, the White House wanting to make sure those farmers get the help the president says they need, especially soybean farmers who've been hit especially hard after China pulled back on its soybean imports earlier this year. The Wall Street Journal summing up what we expect the president to announce here shortly, which is that much of the aid, $11 billion, will be in the form of one-time payments through the Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, which helps U.S. crop farmers. With just 17 days to go until Christmas, plenty of Americans are focused on their pocketbooks. The White House says it is too. Tomorrow, the president will be out in Pennsylvania to show people he's putting the economy front and center. We heard from a White House spokesperson ahead of the trip telling Fox the president was resoundingly reelected precisely because he understands how Joe Biden's generational inflation crisis was leaving American families behind. Putting this crisis behind us has been a day one priority for the president, and this priority has guided the administration's economic policy making.
All right, so now we know what this is going to be about. Everyone was trying to figure out what was this roundtable going to be. It's going to be about the economy. So what I was saying before I jumped into that was that fixing America is going to be easy. And I know some people went, well, what do you mean easy? There's so many problems. There's a lot of problems, but fixing them won't be a hard thing if President Trump does what he needs to do. And what he needs to do is bring in the military and declare the Insurrection Act. And some people would call me a conspiracy theorist and like the Insurrection Act, blah, 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 blah. He's asserting the Monroe Doctrine externally. So if President Trump is asserting the Monroe Doctrine, a document that was put together in 1823 to fix everything externally, what do you think he's going to do to fix everything internally? Of course, he's got to use the muscle he has. He can't go through the court system. He can't do all that. And if you use the military as being the only way, a lot of this stuff will change very quickly. We just have to have the stomach for it, and we also have to have people willing to stand up and talk about it, and not talk about the idiocy that's going on out there. Let me finish this.
Your country, you come first. The Democrats will never win back the working class until they can bring themselves to choke out some version of this message and maybe even actually believe it.
Let's introduce
that, and I've said that many times. There is no win for the Democrats. There is no path to victory for them doing it the correct way. They can only do this through obfuscation and cheating and media complicity. Nobody wants socialism on a grand scale. I'm going to show you something about that in a second as well. Nobody wants that. And so when we're seeing people who put up stupid polls, I think SV sent me a poll. What'd you send me, SV? Don't tell me I got another one from this guy. What's this say? Hold on. I've talked to you about pollsters. There's got to be a reason why people are doing certain things. We got some Supreme Court information
in Washington. Hi, Shanna.
Hey, John. So I think you're right. The president should feel like he had a good day today in court. Here's what happened. Earlier this year, the president tried to remove FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter, sent her an email saying that her continued service on the commission was, quote, inconsistent with my administration's priorities. Now, there was no claim that she was being fired under the reasons permitted by statute for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance, so she sued. Well, today, the administration administration argued the president, as chief executive, has broad power over agencies, employees, and appointees arguably within the executive branch. But Justice Jackson questioned how much.
I don't understand why it is that the thought that the president gets to control everything can outweigh Congress's clear authority and duty to protect the people in this way.
But Justice Kavanaugh asked what happens when a president can't effectively carry out his or her agenda because of what a previous administration from an opposing party has done in maybe setting up one of these multi-member agencies or boards, and those members can't be fired by the president.
I want to give you a chance to deal with the hard hypothetical. When both houses of Congress and president are controlled by the same party, them creating a lot of these independent agencies with or extending some of the current independent agencies into these kinds of situations so as to thwart future presidents of the opposite party.
So to rule for the president, they'd have to overturn a 90-year-old precedent, which is basically been on life support, if we're being honest. But the court's going to consider some of these same questions again. Slightly different framework in January when it wades into whether the president can dismiss a Fed governor. The court has indicated that it sees the Fed as a unique institution because it is quasi-private. John?
Yeah, interesting argument there that Kavanaugh made. And we'll see what happens with the Fed because the president's got it down now to one candidate to replace him. So that'll be interesting all the way.
All right, so notice she talked about something else. They're going back 90 years to overturn something. And they're going to continue doing this, chipping away from stuff because what a past president did. The one thing that has stood is the Monroe Doctrine. Nobody has sought to attack it. They might now because he's bringing it up, but they just completely overlooked it. It's absolutely crazy when you think about the power that President Trump is beginning to compile so that he can move forward. That's why I say in here it's going to be relatively easy. This is Jonathan Turley.
The business of the executive branch. And this created a sort of weird creature that was half congressional, half executive. And since that case was handed down, there have been many who've said that's a mythical creature. That does not exist in the Constitution. Many of the justices, and clearly a majority, were skeptical and even frustrated at points. They kept on asking counsel, don't keep on telling us that this has been around for 90 years. Tell us why this is part of the Constitution. What is your theory? And what are the limits? They really didn't hear back on that one.
Here is the oral arguments from Justice Kagan today, Jonathan. Listen.
Here's been the bargain over the last century, and I think it has been a bargain. Congress has given these agencies a lot of work to do that is not traditionally executive work. And they've given all of that power to these agencies largely with it in mind that the agencies are not under the control of a single person, of the president.
So how do you respond to her questioning the power of these agencies?
Well, Justice Kagan kept on returning to what she called real-world considerations, and that, frankly, is the last argument you make when you don't have a very strong constitutional argument, in my view. I thought that the argument really collapsed in front of
the Democrats are on life support. I mean, they're literally going to have to be defibrillated. And that's why today's show, I wanted to let you guys know this and to begin pushing. Educate yourself on the Monroe Doctrine. Understand what's happening. I've said for quite some time, the Democrats can't stop Trump. All they're doing is putting speed bumps in the way. And you know, the Comey thing gets thrown out, and Letitia James thing gets thrown out. So it's not what we really want. What we really want is for all of these lawsuits to just go away. And bit by bit, including the tariff one, and now this one too, him being able to fire people, it destroys the Democrat Party. They are happy that people on the right are fighting. They are absolutely fighting. Happy. Fighting with joy.
Using massive power over individual liberty and billion-dollar industries, whether it's the FCC or the FTC or whatever.
Thoughts on Kavanaugh's words, Jonathan?
Well, both Kavanaugh and Alito really made short work of those defending this law. They kept on presenting hypotheticals, what they called hard hypotheticals, of where does this take you? Both of them said, well, can you just go ahead and make any cabinet department an independent commission? Can you specify just one commissioner? Can you make their length in office 20 years? All of those questions left the other side floundering. The best that they could say at points was, well, if something like that happens, you could come back and look at it. Well, the justices are looking at it now. And one of the things that should be unnerving is that those justices that normally form an alliance in these cases with the left of the court were not there today. Chief Justice Roberts really stomped on Humphrey's estate and said that it was basically a desiccated or dried up precedent. Justice Barrett said these commissions don't look anything like what existed at the time of some of these earlier cases. So that's not a good omen if you want Humphrey's estate to live to 91.
All right, John.
So if you see this, if you understand what's happening, you're understanding that the fighting going on the right is doing nothing but breathing life into. Oh, this is breaking. Wow. I mean, breaking.
Bondi says that she has accepted Haba's resignation after the Third Circuit Court's decision disqualifying Haba from serving, a decision that Bondi says is flawed. Haba will continue to work at the DOJ as a senior advisor and adds in a social media post of her own. She said this, quote, while I was focused on delivering real results, judges in my state took advantage of a flawed blue slip tradition and became weapons for the politicized left. For months, these judges stopped conducting trials and entering sentences, leaving violent criminals on the streets. They joined New Jersey senators who care more about fighting President Trump than the well-being of residents, which they serve.
Now, understand that. She's going to resign, but she's going to stay with the Department of Justice, meaning she's not going anywhere. And so when I personally believe when President Trump turns his claws at fixing America, we're going to be right back where she has to be. It's bound to happen. I mean, I am completely convinced at this point that once he gets everything done globally, he's going to come in and take care of America.
To Somali-American Abdullah Ali, who came to the U.S. from Somalia in 2009. You're looking at, obviously, the man on my right who had discovered this story. He became a U.S. citizen, started a nonprofit to help immigrants, started several businesses, including a multi-million-dollar migrant care service agency. And in 2024, he ran for president as he raised money to bankroll a militia in Somalia. Yes, you heard that right. A U.S. citizen who, according to the Main Wire, gave an interview with Kenyan media in which he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that is a real state in Somalia. He was running for president in Somalia. Of course he won.
How? See, that's the first thing I thought. First thing you should think is, how is this even possible? How can this guy be raising millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, in addition to stealing billions of dollars, without there being any government facilitation? There had to have been. These people live in it. Why would you want to be the president of Jubaland? What does the president of Jubaland mean? It just means someplace where you can send more money. I don't think any of us can even point to Jubaland. A real name, Jubaland.
Lost the election. We reached out to the Gateway Community Services in Maine, which Ali founded, did not hear back, ironically enough. The man who broke this report, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire, Steve Robinson. Dude, this is crazy.
You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, the guy's running a migrant services agency that bills Medicare, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year. At the same time that he's running for president, and to be clear,
in Somalia,
that he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. Elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America. It's, whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election. So he needed to buy a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support in order to win.
Can you make any of this up? I mean, if I was writing a script with Spielberg and I'm like, here what we're going to do, we're going to go over to America. I'm going to become a citizen here. I'm going to learn all the intricacies of all these government programs. I'm going to facilitate the theft of billions. And I'm going to buy an election in Somalia. Nobody would believe you. And so now a light is being shown on all of this stuff, and they don't want anybody talking about it. It's absolutely insane. There is no way this could have happened without Democrat involvement. That's how important this is. Understand, there's no way. You can't land into a country, know nothing about the country, and all of a sudden you're sitting on $1 gazillion and nothing happening to you.
That election, and he lost it. But at the very same time that he was in Jubaland and Kenya trying to become a warlord in southern Somalia, he was getting no-bid contracts from the administration of Governor Janet Mills, a Democrat who has been in cahoots with Gateway Community Services from the very...
All right, so let me tell you what a no-bid contract is, which should never happen in government, which adds to the story that the Democrats are doing this. A no-bid contract, when you have a contract, I want to pour concrete sidewalks in Boca Raton, and I am the grand poobah of Boca Raton, I have to send that out to bid. I want to make sure the city is going to get the best bid. And Joe and Fred and Sheila all give a bid. I'm like, okay, got it. I'm going to go with this one. A no-bid contract is, hey, Somali guy, we're going to give you a couple $100 million gazillion so that you can go be a warlord. That's a no-bid contract. I'm just naming you as the contractor. Nah, there's nothing to see here.
Beginning. So if there's one thing that I would implore your listeners to understand, it's in Minnesota and in Maine, it's not just the Somali diaspora that has come over here and decided to engage in this criminal behavior. It's an industrial complex with the Democratic Party that enables and turns a blind eye to this behavior because they benefit from it through political support. And indeed...
And there you have it. If he knows it, I know it, you know it. Now everybody needs to know it. That you're looking at a money laundering scheme of epic proportions. We'll give some money to these idiot Somalians and let them go ahead and fight their warlords. You can be the grand poobah of Jubaland. Just make sure you kick back some of that money I'm helping you out with. That's why these people are fighting so hard, because the grift is going to hit people on both sides. Understand, this just isn't a left thing. This is left and right. There are people who went into Congress with literally no money and are walking around with tens of millions of dollars in their account. And it's not just insider trading. How did you get that? How did all of this stuff happen? That's what President Trump has to expose, and that's why they're fighting him so damn hard.
Abdullahi Ali's number two, his assistant executive director, is the former mayor of South Portland, Maine, and is currently a state representative from South Portland and a member of the Appropriations Committee. Decca Delac, one of his former employees, Yusuf, is a representative from Portland. Many Gateway Community Services alums have gone on to become involved in politics, and Governor Janet Mills created the Office of New Americans specifically to cater to the new Americans, new Mainers, illegal aliens, and the only employee of that organization is Alkas Ahmed from Sudan, who is...
If this weren't true, you'd be like, there's no way. So you're talking about people in the Democrat Party who came up with this great idea and how they were going to scam everybody everywhere. Locally, regionally, nationally, and they're going to use these Somalis to do it for them. We're going to use these people who have no country. They got no allegiance to anything. Which is why some of these people might flip or just leave. They don't want to go to jail. They might get violent. Who knows? But in any event, there was no way these people came from a dirt poor country that really isn't a country, landed here and figured out, hey, we can steal all kinds of money. hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. It didn't happen. The government was involved. They never thought they would get caught. They never thought President Trump would win. And now all of this is coming to light, and nobody wants to talk about it.
A former employee of Gateway Community Services.
I wish I had more time for this, but you're on a roll. Basically, long story short, is Maine's got a bunch of fraud with people taking money from the government and the taxpayers and then buying rocket launchers, sending them back to run for elections and president of whatever that place is.
Based on... Notice as he was talking about Maine. So we now know Maine was in bed with the Somalis. And Minnesota is in bed with the Somalis. And we don't know any other burgs across the country that are feeding these people. You understand why today I was like, I was pissed off and like, can we stop talking about stupid stuff? Why are we wrangling as a group of people? Why are we wrangling for control over something that doesn't really matter? People have huge audiences, massive audiences, and they're not focused on what we need to be talking about. We need to let every single person in America know that the government has been stealing from us. Everybody knows your taxes are stealing, but now these Somalis, it is insane.
What we have found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. Again, you're familiar with all the scams with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history.
Never before seen in American history, Stephen Miller says. That should tell you enough right there. Why are we not talking about it? I know I've said that a few times because I'm compelling you to begin screaming this stuff from the rooftops.
Total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, this is a significant undercount, by the way. 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing on this country.
Homeless encampments will no longer be targeted by City Hall when Zoran...
Okay, before we go into the homeless encampments, I just want you to think about what he just said. 75%, and it's probably more, 75% of the people on welfare are Somalians. You pissed off yet? You understand what this is, what's happening? How this is just turning into just something that's unbelievable at this point. And the thing that Stephen Miller just said is that when it all comes out, it's going to be shocking. It shouldn't be. I will disagree with that. None of this should be shocking anymore. None of this should take you by surprise. The Democrat Party doesn't exist except for being a massive criminal enterprise that has been shielded by the court system and the media. We're just finding it out. We're just peeling stuff back and going, that too? Yeah, they've been stealing everything for as long as we can probably know. Their entire platform at this point makes no sense whatsoever. There aren't enough poor people to be voting for Democrats. They had to import voters. You weren't shocked at that anymore. You can't be shocked at what they've done. We're going to lose our country if people don't unify and come together. I'm not a black pillar. I'm not one who's like doom and gloom. I'm saying just the opposite. We have the ability to turn this stuff around. We just have to do it. We have to stop focusing on, I don't know what they're focusing on. Why would anybody with a podcast, or well, I know why, because crazy sells. But at some point, we've got to wake people up and say, stop following stuff on social media, on X and everything else that's not furthering the interest of other Americans. And I'm not going to be here to put down anybody for their model of making money. I make money, but I'm trying to make money by bringing actual factual stuff. I'm not talking about people running around in maroon shirts. I'm not talking about Mark Levin has sold out to the Israelites. I'm not talking about, I want to talk about us. I want people around me who focus on America being great. Again, this is Christmas. It's positivity. We can do this if we can do it together. And I think that's very important. President Trump, as normal, is late. He's a half hour late, it seems, at this point. I'm watching to make sure I don't miss him. But in the interim, what do I got here that I've got to talk about? My friends at Chapter. This is really important, especially if you're 65 like I am, because it's December 8th. You don't have that much time. As I'm sure you're well aware, it's Medicare annual enrollment time, and as a newly minted 65-year-old myself, that means I'm getting buried under the same spam calls and junk mail that you are. And it's a nightmare. I've also learned that Medicare plans change every year. Apparently, some even just disappear and go away. So for those of us that love our plans today, it might not be the best one for 2026. 2026 meaning, 3 weeks. And if you don't double check, you can lose coverage for doctors or prescriptions you count on. To make matters worse, most Medicare agents are just pushing the plans that pay them the highest commissions. That's why I recommend Chapter for the Fanfare family. They check every single plan in America to make sure you get the best deal. And on average, they can save you $1,100 a year. Or they can give you a Cadillac plan. It's up to you. When Robin and I had to make these choices, it made it dead simple. They will review all your options in under one free 20-minute phone call. If you're already on the right plan, you're done. If not, they'll help you switch. So get some peace of mind during this enrollment period. Call Chapter at 475-328-3545 and make sure you're set heading into 2026, or you can go to askchapter.org/Barry. And I just want to tell you, they won't be a sponsor too much longer. We're almost done. If you need to get into your right plan, give them a call for sure. Also, just want to let you guys know, as I take a break here, we're going to give away the fishing trip probably on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that.
Hey everybody, Barry has a couple things to let you know about. Fanfare is giving away a free fishing trip. We're going to fly you and a guest down to South Florida for a 3-day, 2-night getaway. You'll go on a deep-sea fishing trip with Robin. And Barry and Robin will take you and your guest out to dinner. To enter to win, go to fanfareshop.org/fishing. It's easy and it's free to enter. Second, if you'd like to join our private group on X, go to fanfareshop.org/group and join 18,000 fellow patriots. It's a safe space for patriots as it's curated and moderated. Again, that's fanfareshop.org.
But we're bringing prices way down. We inherited a total mess from the Biden administration, the highest inflation in the country's history, and very, very high prices. Prices are coming down, and they're very, very far down on energy. Energy's come. In fact, we hit a very important number, sacred number. We had 3 states in the last 2 days, reported by our energy group, a group of very strong energy people, who said we hit $1.99 a gallon in 3 different states. And that's an amazing accomplishment because the gasoline prices are coming down. When gasoline comes down, everything, it's such a big category that when gasoline comes down, sort of everything sort of follows. But we inherited a mess, affordability, but you can call it affordability or anything you want. But the Democrats caused the affordability problem, and we're the ones that are fixing it. So it's a very simple statement. They caused it, we're fixing it. And they have a tendency to just say this election's based on affordability. And nobody questions them, John. You know, nobody says, "Oh, well, what do you mean by that?" But they just say the word. They never say anything else because they caused the problem. But we're fixing the problem, and we're pleased to be joined today by many of the wonderful members of the farming community, as well as the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Brooke, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Thank you very much, Scott. Senator John Bozeman. Thank you, John. Good job. John Hoeven. Thank you, John. And Deb Fisher. Thank you very much. As well as Representative Austin Scott, who's been with us right from the beginning. Thank you, Austin. Good job. I'm delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real numbers, you know, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me because you know, based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops. And it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families. And again, we inherited something that we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we're taking care of it. Farmers are an indispensable national asset, part of the backbone of America. I've always felt it so strongly. They're so important. Unfortunately, under sleepy Joe Biden, he's a sleepy guy, our farmers were crushed by the worst inflation in modern history and crippling restrictions on energy, water, and countless other necessities for farmers. And what they did to the farmer in terms of putting the brakes on was just absolutely unacceptable. In my first term, we had an agricultural trade surplus by a lot. We had a big surplus, meaning we were exporting American agricultural products all over the world, making a net profit, and in many cases, a very substantial profit. He came in and ruined it. Biden turned that surplus into a gaping agricultural deficit that continues to this day, but we're knocking it down. It's starting to go very good. In fact, China, as you know, is buying a tremendous amount of soybeans, and the number, I spoke with President Xi recently, very recently, and I think he's going to do even more than he promised to do. So I think the relationship is a very good one. I think he's going to do more than he promised to do, and what he promised to do is a lot. So we're very happy with that. In the last year, Biden bankruptcies rose by 55%, having to do with farms. So farm bankruptcies under Joe Biden went up 55%. That's not good. But now we're once again in a position where a president is able to put farmers first. But unfortunately, I'm the only president that does that. On day one, I terminated the Green New Scam Energy prices are down, gasoline prices are down. We've slashed record numbers of crippling regulations, and we're working on huge trade deals, already securing $60 billion in agricultural purchase commitments. And, you know, Biden made none. He didn't make any trade deals having to do with the farmers or any of it. It's crazy. China committed. He was the worst president in the history of our country, by the way, in case anybody has any questions. China committed to over $40 billion of soybean purchases, and that's a commitment. And I asked President Xi if he could even up it. And I think he'll do that. I mean, not a commitment. 40 billion is a commitment, but we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we're taking care of it. Farmers are an indispensable national asset, part of the backbone of America. I've always felt it so strongly. They're so important. Unfortunately, under sleepy Joe Biden, he was a sleepy guy. Our farmers were crushed by the worst inflation in modern history and crippling restrictions on energy, water, and countless other necessities for farmers. And what they did to the farmer in terms of putting the brakes on was just absolutely unacceptable. In my first term, we had an agricultural trade surplus by a lot. We had a big surplus, meaning we were exporting American agricultural products all over the world, making a net profit, and in many cases a very substantial profit. He came in and ruined it. Biden turned that surplus into a gaping agricultural deficit that continues to this day, but we're knocking it down. It's starting to go very good. In fact, China, as you know, is buying a tremendous amount of soybeans, and the number, I spoke with President Xi recently, very recently, and I think he's going to do even more than he promised to do. So I think the relationship is a very good one. I think he's going to do more than he promised to do, and what he promised to do is a lot. So we're very happy with that. In the last year, Biden bankruptcies rose by 55%, having to do with farms. So farm bankruptcies under Joe Biden went up 55%. That's not good. But now we're once again in a position where a president is able to put farmers first. But unfortunately, I'm the only president that does that. On day one, I terminated the Green New Scam. Energy prices are down. Gasoline prices are down. We've slashed record numbers of crippling regulations, and we're working on huge trade deals, already securing $60 billion in agricultural purchase commitments. And, you know, Biden made none. He didn't make any trade deals having to do with the farmers or any of it. It's crazy. China committed. He was the worst president in the history of our country, by the way, in case anybody has any questions. China committed to over $40 billion of soybean purchases, and that's a commitment. And I asked President Xi if he could even up it. And I think he'll do that. I mean, not a commitment. The 40 billion is a commitment, but the soybean farmers are quite happy. Since my successful meeting in South Korea with President Xi, purchases have been made and soybeans are being exported out of the United States to China as we speak. And I say that our soybeans, I told this to President Xi, our soybeans are more nutritious than competitors. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? In fact, you know who asked me that question? President Xi asked me that question. He said, really, I had never heard of it. And he was a food purchaser for a long time. But that's what I hear. And Japan agreed to $8 billion in purchases of corn, soybeans, ethanol, fertilizer, aviation, biofuel, and rice. You know, Japan never bought rice from anybody else. It's like a very important thing to them. And they agreed to buy rice, okay?
Absolutely.
So I also proudly signed into law the largest tax cuts in history, and the one big, beautiful bill, the monumental tax relief bill that is benefiting very, very strongly, benefiting the American farmer. And I think also for farmers, we have, as you know, and we got this, the estate tax, or the death tax, as they call it, on farmers, on small businesses. You don't have to pay it anymore. A lot of farms, you love your children, and your children are great, and they want to be farmers, and you leave the farm and your children, and a lot of farms are, sort of cash poor, land rich, cash poor. And the kids would go to the local bank or to any bank and they'd borrow money to pay the estate tax, and they'd end up losing the farm. They'd go bankrupt. And a lot of death too, you know, literally, because they love their farm and they love their business and they love that way of life, they'd end up committing suicide. A lot of suicides. We have no more estate tax. How about that? Do you have children?
I do.
Well, let them know. Now, if you love your children, then it's good. If you don't love your children, you don't have to leave them anything. It doesn't matter what I just said.
They're still young. I still love them.
I have a feeling you love them.
I still love them.
I have a feeling you love your children. But the estate tax is a very big thing. So you don't have estate tax. You die, you leave your farm or whatever, or small business to your children, you don't have to pay estate tax. It seems to affect the farmer more than anybody else, because you can have a farm that's very valuable and therefore you have to pay a big tax, but it's not a big value in terms of cash. Maximizing domestic farm production is a big part of how we will make America affordable again and bring down grocery prices for American families. And again, these are prices that we inherited. When I left, we were doing incredible. In 4 years, what they've done to this country and so many, and not even mentioning the border and the criminals allowed into our country and all of the other. So I just want to say it's a tremendous honor being with you. I'd now like to ask Secretary Rollins to provide some of the details, followed by Secretary Bessent, Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, Senator Bozeman, Representative Scott, and then we go to a couple of the farmers' representatives, but we'll all get involved a little bit. You can speak. Anybody is shy to speak in front of the press, and I don't blame you if that's the case, but farmers, Court Holub and Merrill Kennedy will say a few words also, and then we'll have a little discussion, okay? Madam Secretary.
Thank you to the greatest boss in the world for a long time now. It's just an honor to be here. I'm going to keep my comments very short because I really want to make sure that you and the world gets to hear from our farmers. So a couple of quick points. Number one, this country and our farm economy is facing a crisis that we inherited that most of these farmers have not seen in their lifetime. Profitability is down. It's just one crisis after another. When we came into office, sir, when you did and you were sworn in on January the 20th, as you mentioned, not one new trade deal had been struck in 4 years. The cost of inputs for our farmers, fertilizer up 36%, manual labor up 47%, interest rates up 73%. When you combine the cost of inputs for our farmers married to no new trade deals, and then you're facing an administration whose priorities were DEI, climate change, putting the farmer aside. I mean, it was an absolute war on agriculture and on our rural communities. That all changed on January 20th. So as, sir, we are working, and you have been just so resolute. I mean, these are our people. Rural America is the fabric of our country. This is the way of life that preserves the American dream for the next 250 years as we celebrate the first 250 years. So we began to go to work immediately. What these elected officials sitting across from us did with the One Big Beautiful Bill, with a lot of help and direction from you, was the largest investment in rural America in any of our lifetimes. We will begin to see that effectuated next year in 2026. As we have fought to bring input costs down, you have talked about, and even this weekend did an executive order, signed one, on looking into the reason that so much of these costs have been driven up over and over. Equipment, again, fertilizer, seed, et cetera, et cetera. We have to make sure we understand why that is. And then the continuing of the additional trade deals across the world. And no longer will America be held and beholden to the regime of other countries' tariff infrastructure. Instead, we are moving our products out across the world. Having said that, and we have been listening to the farmers for the last 10 months, 11 months, sir, that the bridge that is needed to get from the last administration and what basically happened under the last president and the last U.S. Department of Agriculture to this new golden age for farmers, where instead of farming for government checks, they can farm to feed their family and sell their products and pass it on to the next generation, that this bridge is absolutely necessary based on where we are right now. So as the president said, we are very pleased to announce that today we We are going to be effectuating an $11 billion bridge payment to our farmers. The money will move by February 28th of 2026, but by the end of this month, so just in the next couple of weeks, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like. So as you are going to your lender, as you are working to ensure and understanding what you can plant for next year, you will have that number in hand. And we will continue to talk to our farmers, continue to understand exactly what this looks like and what is necessary. The final thing I'll say
12
is,
billion.
well, we're holding $1 billion back. So today we are announcing $11 billion. We are holding $1 billion back just to ensure that we are covering. So today's announcement covers all of our row crops, but some specialty crops and others that we are still working with to best understand where they are in the farm economy and ensure that we're making every forward-moving position that we need to. And then finally, as we move to this new golden age for agriculture and for rural America, as we continue to fight for these farmers and ranchers, their way of life, and those that are represented here represent hundreds of thousands of farmers across this country. Just know that this president, I have never been around anyone who every time we talk, he asks, how are my farmers? Every single time. So we will never stop fighting. We will make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure the next 250 years is just as bright, if not brighter, than the last. So thank you, sir.
Brooke. Thank you. And this money would not be possible without tariffs. The tariffs are taking in, hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're giving some up to the farmers because they were mistreated by other countries for, I don't know, maybe right reasons, maybe wrong reasons. They weren't. They were trying to show us something, and it's really worked out really well. But because of the tariffs, this is possible. The other thing I'd like to add before going to Scott, and I think it's very important, we're going to also give the tractor companies, John Deere and all of the companies that make the equipment, we're going to take off a lot of the environmental restrictions that they have on machinery. It's ridiculous. I know because I buy a lot of that machinery for different things. We have a lot of big clubs with, hundreds, thousands of acres. And I buy a lot of stuff, and you buy it, it's got so much equipment on it for the environmental, it doesn't do anything, except it makes the equipment much more expensive and much more complicated to work. And it's not as good as the old days. And we're going to take a lot of that nonsense off of the equipment, which is going to reduce, and we're going to do it, and we're going to say you're going to reduce the prices. We're not going to do it and they're not going to reduce. They're going to have to reduce their prices because farming equipment has gotten too expensive. And a lot of the reason is because they put these environmental excesses on the equipment, which don't do a damn thing except make it complicated, make it impractical. And you really have to be, in many cases, you need about 185 IQ to turn on a lawnmower now. So we're going to take that off, that crap off that they put on Biden mostly. And we're going to take that off. So that's going to make that'll bring down the equipment prices a lot.
That's right.
And we're going to do that immediately. You're going to work with Lee Zeldin, who's not here, is doing a fantastic job. And Lee is going to work that out. And that would be most of it. It's crazy. The machines, they're always under repair because they're so complicated that you can't fix them. The old days you used to fix it yourself. Now you can't do that. You have to be a PhD from, let's say, MIT. Okay, so we're going to get that done. Scott, please go ahead.
Good. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the farmers to join us today. And I will tell all of you here that when either in person or when we are on a call with President Xi, the first thing the president asking for is more soybean purchases.
That's right.
We don't talk about geopolitics. We don't talk about trade. It's about soybean purchases.
We don't even say hello. We immediately start. Soybean. We start with the soybean, please.
Could you do a little? It's always could you do a little more? So, and I think President Xi has heard President Trump. This group represents an American way of life that has fed our nation and its spirit for hundreds of years. You are the caretakers of the most productive agricultural country on earth. You drive hundreds of billions of dollars in exports support millions of jobs, and keep America's economy running strong. And this administration is committed to keeping it that way. By putting farmers first, President Trump is ushering in a new golden age for agriculture. The President's $11 billion relief package for America's farmers comes at a critical time. These direct payments will give producers the breathing room they need to market this year's harvest and plan for next season. This serves as a liquidity bridge during a period of adjustment, supporting the strongest agricultural sector in the world. Add this to the President's success in reining in Biden-era inflation, thanks to the administration's pro-growth policies, input costs like fuel and fertilizer are easing, and credit conditions are improving, interest rates are coming down, helping farmers prepare for the next harvest. President Trump scored a massive victory for America's farmers when he secured an arrangement with President Xi in Busan to reopen China's markets to U.S. agricultural exports, especially soybeans, sorghum, and other commodities. Under this framework, China committed to purchase at least 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans this growing season, followed by a minimum of 25 million tons annually for the next 3 years. And it's not just China. At the President's direction, Treasury, USTR, and the Department of Commerce have secured supplemental purchases of U.S. agricultural goods in major trade agreements across the world to open new markets to America's farmers. The One Big Beautiful Bill also delivered transformative benefits for America's small farmers. It locked in full expensing for farm equipment and 100% expensing for farm structures built during the President's term. I believe Representative Scott and a group in the House, we were originally just going to do factories, and they called us and said, you need to do farm structures too, and the President said, we're all in. And it extended and enhanced much needed relief from the punishing death tax, giving family farms greater certainty as they plan for the next generation. Mr. President, thank you for putting America first by putting your farmers first. Through pro-growth, pro-farm agenda, you are ushering in a new golden age of American agriculture, and Treasury is proud to help in this.
Thank you, Scott. You know what we'll do? We're going to go a little faster because the last meeting we had was 3 hours. We're the most transparent group, so if we can go faster, it'll be great. And then we'll take some questions from the fake news. Is that okay? Kevin, go real fast, Kevin.
Yeah, I could go really fast, sir. Yeah. Sir, the farm economy, you always ask me to just get a few numbers to put it in perspective. And as I've looked through the incredible performance of these people that work so hard and are such important people for keeping communities alive, the thing that struck me the most, because you and I were here in the White House during COVID, is that during those terrible COVID times, farm production didn't go down. Like these farmers, they went to work every day and they produced so much. But then Joe Biden came in, so we had COVID, and farm production didn't go down. And then Joe Biden came in and he really wrecked the farm economy. And so during Biden's term, 150,000 farms closed, sir. 150,000 farms closed after we went through COVID and we didn't have a problem. Now, why did we do it? Why were we able to do that? I'm going fast. The first is that, do you know that expenses for farms fell 5% while we were here because of all the things that we did, expensing and everything else? But under Joe Biden, they went up 13% because of all the regulations, energy, everything else. But the thing that really jumped out at me the most is because you had high growth and low inflation. Interest expense for the farm economy fell $120 million per year while you were there in the White House. But under Joe Biden, it increased by $8 billion per year. And so you wonder why it is that we need this $11 billion, maybe $12 billion to build a bridge loan to America's farmers. It's because we know how to fix it, but there really was a hole that was dug in the previous administration. Thank you. Hope it's fast enough.
Good. That was quick. That's good. Appreciate it. Senator, please.
Yes, sir. No, thank you so much. Thank you for convening us this great announcement and all your hard work for farmers. I think I was reading the clips, and I think yesterday you talked about, Mr. Secretary, about farmers needing certainty, and which is so true. This bridge note is one of those things that provides certainty. I also, as I was reading that, thought to myself, the one thing that farmers can be certain of is the fact that you've got their back, and you proved that through the years in the last administration and now this. I was giving a presentation to the Senate a while back, and I was talking about us having the cheapest, safest food supply of any place in the world. It's not just about the farmers in rural America. And so Marco Rubio was sitting by me prior to coming over here and becoming the great Secretary of State. But he punched me and said, "John, always remind him," he was head of the Committee on Intelligence then. He punched me, he said, "Always remind them, food security is national security." So this is important for so many different reasons. And again, I appreciate you for recognizing that, not only now, but when you were campaigning in your first election, how you treated the farmers in your first administration, and now stepping up. So we look forward to helping you. If we need some additional help, looking to Congress, whatever, we'll be there for you. So
We're taking in so much money with the tariffs now that it's such a pleasure. Without it, we wouldn't be able to help you. We're making our country, we're the richest country in the world now. And, we have a big decision. Hopefully we're going to get the right decision. It's such a big thing in the Supreme Court right now. We have a lot of bad people opposed to us, people that hate our country. Other countries are involved, some real sleazebags that I know, political sleazebags. And they're trying to take that away from us. And we have other methods, but they're not as powerful. They're not as quick. Some of the wars that I solved wouldn't have been solved using those methods. So it's a very important thing, the tariff. The decision of the Supreme Court's a very important thing. And Scott, we can do it other ways, but it's slow and it's cumbersome, and it doesn't have the power. It doesn't have the national security power that we have. So I hope we're going to be successful. That's all I can tell you. Austin, please. Thank you, John.
Well, first of all, President, thank you for the selection of Brooke Rollins as Secretary of Agriculture. That was a big first step.
You want to keep her?
Absolutely.
Can I
absolutely
butt in and second that? She's not only her, but her staff does a tremendous job.
I agree.
And
remember eggs? Remember we came in and
absolutely
the people in the media. I'm going to be nice. People in the media were 3 days into offices. You're right. They're saying egg prices are up like 90%, more than that. And I said, I just got here. I didn't know about it. Anyway, she got those prices down to below what they were before. She's doing a great job. Now beef is starting to come down, and some other things are starting to come down. Again, we inherited these problems, but we're getting them down. Go ahead, please.
She's a fact-based decision maker, and the egg issue is where I learned about her. She said, we're not going to use a vaccine that doesn't work. We're going to develop a vaccine that does. Right. And that is 100% what it takes. And so we have to make decisions based on facts. And President Trump, the trade issues, I want to thank you for exposing what other countries are doing to us. Yep. I want to mention one specifically for the benefit of Kevin and Scott. I hope they're paying attention to it, but the European Union deforestation regulation, where they are imposing on our landowners rules that were established for Brazil, and now they're telling the American farmer what they can and can't do on their own land through this European Union deforestation regulation.
What does that tell? Explain that.
They are telling the American farmer that if their timber is cut and they are going to use that land for pasture land or for production agriculture, that they will not take the timber or the byproducts from the sale of that timber. And I have talked with James a little earlier about we need to make it clear to Europe, Mr. President, if you
could give me a 2-paragraph statement on that, I will give that to them, and they will do what they have to do.
Yes, sir.
We're always helping them, and they do this kind of stuff, and they pass little regulations that cost billions of dollars. It takes them 2 minutes to do it. They do it. Very tough, no good. You give me a couple of paragraphs. That's all. We don't have to do a lengthy study, and I'll get that changed fast. Okay?
Thank you very much, President. We love you.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, every day it's something else.
A country that can't feed itself doesn't know what freedom is. And so thank you for making sure that our farmers have the tools that they need so that we as a country can feed ourselves.
Well, just what you said to me about, the European Union. Now, that guy's the European Union, right? we have to be able to act quickly with tariffs. We can't just, go to a committee, go to a study that takes 7 months and talk. We got to be able to act quickly. So thank you very much. Thank you. John?
So thank you. I think that's the message from Farm Country is thank you very much. In the Working Family Tax Relief Act, or as my young staffers call it, OB3, there is a tremendous amount for farmers and ranchers. You mentioned the credit as far as estate tax, which is so important. You analyzed it just right. But also in there, we enhanced ARC and PLC, which is a countercyclical safety net, thanks to the strong leadership of Senator Bozeman and our colleagues in the House. We also included the Farmer Act, which was my bill to make crop insurance more affordable. These tools will kick in next year, Mr. President, in a big, big way for our farmers. Big time. And people aren't even really looking at it yet. But it's going to be a very big deal. So today is all about bridging to get there. And I want to thank Secretary Bassett and Jameson Greer. They're tremendous. And they're negotiating hard out there for farmers and ranchers. And I know it's because you're setting the tone. But this is that bridge, and so we need to come back to Secretary Rollins. Thank you. Your leadership on this was vital. And Mr. President, you're right, they love you in Farm Country out there. All you have to do is drive out and see the flags and
the signs all over the fields.
On the hay bales, right?
It's a great honor. They're great people, the best people.
This is really important. Really important for our farmers and ranchers. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're doing a great job too, John. Thank you. And whatever we need, we get through the Senate, we get through the House, we'll get it done. I think we'll start maybe with Court Hollop, and you come from a place that I'm very happy with.
I hail from the great state of Iowa. I'm surrounded here by some of the greatest farmers in the area, and from across the country. Anything from rice farmers, we've got all sorts of cotton farmers, everything. Everything is here represented so well. And first off, from me, I want to say thank you for this bridge payment. It's Christmas early for farmers. And just to kind of have an icebreaker here for the story, I've got a 2-year-old little boy at home. 2-year-old little boy and a 4-month-old little girl. And the other day I was reading my little boy a story at night, putting him to bed, and he said, "Daddy, I don't want Santa Claus to come to our house for Christmas. I want President Trump." And I think, Mr. Trump, I think you brought Christmas to farmers. With this bridge payment, we'll be able to farm another year, help us get by. It's such an honor to be here with you. I lost my grandfather and a hard hand in 2002 in a farming accident. And he instilled in me at an early age to love the land, to take pride in what we do.
Was that a machine accident?
It was a machine accident. And it gets in your blood to farm. It's in our blood. Despite what happened, I want my 2-year-old to farm. I want my 4-month-old daughter to have an opportunity. And what you're doing here in DC is working. You have a backbone to stand up to other countries for trade. You're getting things done. Tax provisions. I'll be able to potentially pass on a farm to my children because of you. Ethanol. You're working for ethanol. Trying to get E15 year-round. We're dealing with California, Prop 12. Let's continue to work on that. I think we can have a lot of domestic product used here in the country, and we can keep America first, and you're good at that. That is who you are, and if we keep that E15, you could have the biggest...
E15 is a big deal?
E15 is a great deal, year-round.
Okay.
You could have the biggest stamp. I did that. Trump did that, and we would thank you. Farmers would love you more than anything if we could continue that. Continue to use domestic product, use the byproducts, and even be able to export to other countries. And so what you've done here, and just having us here in the White House with you, sitting beside the Secretary and all these other great individuals here, what a true honor. and I will take pride in this meeting, and I will take this home for many generations to come. And because of what you're doing, hopefully them generations can stay on the whole Bland farm.
Well, we're going to bring you into the Oval Office when we're finished, okay? The farmers, nobody else, just the farmers. And we'll take some pictures. Our representatives also. Okay? We have to look at that because they're doing a great job, John and Austin. We appreciate it. You're doing a great job. Meryl, go ahead, please. Tell us about rice.
Rice. Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me here. And my friend, the secretary, you have an incredible lady right here. She really is. Along with being a mother of 3 and a wife, I run my family's agribusiness, Kennedy Rice Mill, in a little town called Marouge, Louisiana, about 1,000 people in the northern part of the state. We employ around 150 people taking rice from the field to a finished product, supplying some of the largest food companies that many of you would know here domestically, but also abroad. And my sisters and I, because there is 4 of us, right? I'm the youngest of 4 daughters, started our own rice brand a few years ago to just tell the story of American agriculture that hadn't really been told before. But I wish I was here under better terms. I'll tell you, I think the rice industry thanks you sincerely for what you have done for the California rice market into Japan. It has been monumental for our industry. But us in the South are really struggling. I mean, this is not just a crisis. I would say it's almost a market dynamics that really are true anti-competitive nature, right? So it follows what you sent out this weekend. And we do believe that countries are dumping rice into this country today. We've never seen imports this great.
Which countries?
India, Thailand, even China into Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico used to be one of the largest markets for U.S. rice. We haven't shipped rice into Puerto Rico in years. So this has been happening for years. This didn't start during your administration, but unfortunately, we're seeing it in a much bigger way now. The tariffs are working, but we need to double down because
you want more. I mean,
well, they're cheating, right? They're they're just subsidizing and then
India. Tell me about India. Why is India allowed to do that? They have to pay tariffs. Do they have an exemption on rice?
No, sir. We're still working on their trade deal. So
yeah, but they should be dumping. I mean, I heard that from others. You can't do that.
There's a WTO case against India right now.
Give me the countries, if you could. Go ahead. India. Who else?
So India.
Mark it down. Which is good.
Yes, sir.
India, Thailand, China into Puerto Rico, not into the continental U.S., but into Puerto Rico. Those are the main culprits.
So Puerto Rico used to do a lot of business, and now you're
100%. Puerto Rico was U.S. based.
All right.
And
so
now
easy to
it's,
settle. Okay.
But there's others too, and I can get you a full list.
Give me a full list. Yeah.
Of course I can.
All right.
So.
Go ahead, please.
So truly, this is a national security issue. I think you put it just perfectly. And so I want for all of us in the room to know that rice is more than just a commodity. It's a currency in many of these countries.
And you love rice, right?
I love rice. Yes, I'm going to get you to love rice too. The next time you're not going to have a button for a Coke, you're going to have a button for a rice.
We get a little bit
but
the farmers love what they do.
Yeah, that's true. Well, our farmers can feed this nation and many nations abroad, but we need fair trade, not free trade. Yep. And so we appreciate what you've done today. We appreciate what you did in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, my word, you really changed reference prices, and we're hopeful that we can even move that further. I know that rice prices right now are the lowest they've been in over 40 years, so we're going to struggle. We're going to max out on our payments probably. So that's something that I know those in Congress can potentially help us with to change. But again, we appreciate everything you're doing.
That's solved so quickly with tariffs to these countries that are illegally shipping. It's solved. Your problem is solved in one day. Mm-hmm. That's why we have to win the Supreme Court case. Mm-hmm. In one day, that problem's solved. It's so unfair. They go out of business. They put everyone out of business. That's what they did to our car industry. We lost more than 50% of our car industry because of that. We lost our chip industry. Went to Taiwan because of that. If you had a president that said, no, you can't do that, it's 100% or 200% tariff on chips if you make them outside of the United, we would have never lost our chip industry. But we're going to have 40 or 50% of it back very shortly because they're all coming in now from Taiwan. They're building chip companies. But it's the same thing with rice. Thank you, darling, very much.
Thank
Really
you.
nice. It'll be good. We'll
Thank you.
get it solved very quickly. We just need the countries. We just give us the names of the countries.
Yeah.
Tariffs
They
again.
own
It
the
solves
largest
the problem in 2 minutes.
Yeah, they've bought the largest brands at retail too, right? So they have an incentive to subsidize their products so that they can keep it on the
Yeah,
shelf.
who did that?
The Indians own the 2 largest brands.
And we'll take care of it. It's so easy. So, do you have any questions?
Yes, President Trump. How are
How
you?
about keeping it on farming?
Your team answered all of my questions on
Votes.
farming, but I do.
Do you have a farm?
Mr. President, in the interest of affordability with this aid package, I assume that that's something you want consumers to see before midterms next year. How quickly will that affect prices at the grocery store?
Well, I think the prices are going to be going down already. I mean, the prices are way down. We brought prices way down from what it was. We inherited high prices. We inherited the biggest inflation in the history of our country. That means prices going up. And we brought it down very substantially. Now inflation is essentially gone. We have it normalized, and it'll go down even a little bit further. You don't want it to be deflation either. You have to be careful. But we brought it way down. We had inflation that was the highest in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I say the history. 48 years is pretty bad too, right? So we're solving those problems.
President Trump,
We're
would
bringing
you-
them way down. Yeah.
Would you consider MAHA incentives for farmers that go by MAHA guidelines?
Well, a lot of the farmers like those MAHA guidelines, yeah. So, I mean, they do. We like MAHA. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, let me answer that. So this is another reason, I didn't mention it, but this is another reason I think that what we're moving into is a golden age for agriculture. As Secretary Kennedy and I, and across our cabinet with the president's leadership, focusing on making America healthy again, the undergirding foundational effort in that is our agriculture industry. It is our farmers and our ranchers. So as the new dietary guidelines come out in early January, where USDA alone spends $400 million a day on nutrition programs, that's a whole other SNAP, fraud, etc. But when you think about what a market mover that is, as we begin to move the market toward more locally produced, American-made, healthier products closer to the schools, the hospitals, etc., you again begin to open up so much of the market for the great products produced by these farmers instead of ultra-processed foods out of a box. So there's a lot that's going to be coming on that as well. I'm really excited.
I have a question. It's not related to farming, but if you'll entertain, I'm Kara from Lindell TV, Kara Kashnov, and I'm not fake news, just so you know. And everybody's talking about the pipe bomber over the weekend, the suspect that was taken into custody. I reported on Biden's kangaroo court for 4 years, and this is an important question to me. Everyone knows that J6 was a Fed's direction to set you and your supporters up. So my question is, what's your gut instinct about the new pipe bomber suspect taken into custody? Does your instinct tell you that he acted alone? And also, Mr. President, how do you feel about the lead prosecutor on the pipe bomber case? Jocelyn Ballantine is the same prosecutor that allegedly asked the J6er to lie to frame you for J6 when you did nothing wrong. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that question. It's sort of a statement, and I appreciate it very much. Jocelyn is being looked at. They all have to be looked at. What they're doing is so bad. This was a whole Democrat hoax. The whole thing was a Democrat hoax, and it's all being looked at. I appreciate
Is
that.
this the final aid package, Mr. President, or is more expected? Is this the final aid package, farm aid
It
package?
depends on where we go. China's buying a lot. Other countries are buying a lot. And, the interesting thing about the farm, they don't want aid. They want to just have a level playing field.
No, please.
I've seen that more with farmers than anybody else, any other industry, right, Deb?
Right.
We've seen it more with farmers where I've had meetings like this, and primarily in the first term, and we did a great job. We turned it around. This is going to be the golden age. But the farmers don't want aid. They want to have a level playing field, because if they have a level playing field, they'll do better than anybody else. They're better than anybody else. Our product is incredible. Our machinery is incredible, right? I mean, we do have the best machines. It's a very big statement I made, though. The environmental excess that we have put onto our tractors and all of our machinery. Do you all agree with that, by the way? You don't
Yeah, it's got to go.
It doesn't do anything except make the machines break all the time.
Yeah.
And I must say, I like to buy old machinery. I said, buy old.
Yes.
Because it's better. The new stuff is terrible. It never works. Never works.
Mr. President, you said that you would have no. Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says.
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full bit. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth.
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
He now says it's under review. Are you ordering the secretary to release that full video?
Whatever he decides is okay with me. So every boat we knock out of the water, every boat, we save 25,000 American lives. That was a boat loaded up with drugs. I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else. But every boat we shoot down, and I don't know if you know, we're 92 or 94% down in drugs coming in by the sea. And we're trying to find who are the 6%. Because I don't know, people aren't liking to drive boats right now loaded up with drugs. But every single, think of that, every single boat we shoot out, on average, we save 25,000 American lives. Do you feel okay about that, Court?
Keep us safe.
Okay, I know my man. What about you? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine with that. Are you committed to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was
You're
up to
the most
Secretary Hegseth.
obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Mr. Midterms, and I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you have any concerns about the
And Democrats
Right.
also.
Do you have
Well,
any?
why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire?
Do you,
How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
But
Do you
why don't
have
you tell me the number of Democrats too? You tell me
Are
about.
you concerned about the narrow margins? And
No, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well.
Is among them, and
We will have the
National
greatest
Candidate
economy.
Bruce Blakeman, who you know as well, is considering running for
We're going to
governor.
have the greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the Democrats?
Because I came prepared to ask you a question about.
No, you're unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared. Go ahead.
Well, can I ask a quick follow-up
Who
about?
are you with?
I'm with New York Newsday, and I also have a quick follow-up. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is among those who is running for New York
great.
governor.
She's great.
Bruce Blakeman, who you also know
He's
is
also
National
great.
Are you planning on making any
Well, I'll
endorsements?
think
or
about it,
any
but he's great and she's great. They're both great people. We have a lot of great people in the Republican Party. Go ahead.
Can I get back to farming?
Yeah.
So you talked about the profitability issue, the machinery playing a role in that. I know
Right.
fertilizer plays another role now. A
Right.
lot of that, the way I understand it, it comes in from Canada, different countries like that. What are we doing to bolster domestic fertilizer production to help make that more affordable? And then I think that will transition
Well, one
down
of the
pipe.
things, a lot of it does come in from Canada.
does.
And so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to, because that's the way you want to bolster here. And we can do it here. We can all do that here. But I would say what you do, you put very severe tariffs on from coming into other countries. You'll be making your own fertilizer very soon.
In fact, Secretary Burgum, this cabinet is so remarkable. Instead of just seeing each other every month, we're literally talking every day, multiples of times a day. But our Secretary of the Interior, I, and Secretary Besson and others, we have a whole plan in place, including the reshoring of fertilizer and the opportunity to do it in America. Having said that, we've also, per the president's guidance, issued a directive. These fertilizer companies, the seed companies, the equipment companies, all of the above, as our farmers have struggled year over year, the meat packing companies continue to make, a lot of money, hand over fist, a lot of foreign-owned companies. So that's why the president has been very unequivocal in saying we got to figure out why all these input costs are skyrocketing and all of our farmers are struggling, which we're going to do.
So
That is a
when they
great
take-
question.
When
and very
they take like
important.
fertilizer out of the country, all of a sudden we don't do it anymore. Then they start charging and sending in, very high prices from other countries, whether it's Canada or somebody else. We're not going to let that happen.
Mr. President, on the quality of foreign produce, you spoke about soybeans and how the quality here in the United States obviously is a lot better.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, is the default of this administration, because that's an issue I understand with root vegetables, citrus as well, is the default of this administration that even if it's a little bit more expensive homegrown, you will choose homegrown over cheaper produce abroad?
I like homegrown. You know, some things we can't grow because we don't have the heat. There are some things, you know, little delicacies or maybe not such delicacies, but they grow better in warmer climates, very warm climates actually. But for the most part, I like homegrown.
Mr. President, thank you. One on this announcement and then one on foreign policy, if I may. Are you open to tapping into tariff revenue again should farmers find they need additional relief to get to that level?
Yeah. If we're going to make the farmers so strong, and I'm not even talking about financially, because they just want to be able to produce what they can produce, and we're going to make them so strong that it will be indeed a golden age for farmers.
And then on Russia and
you know, we had it going in the first administration, and then Biden came in and ruined everything. They had no idea what they would. They did. I mean, I think they hated the farmer. I love the farmer. That's why I got 94% of the vote from the farmers. But they hated the farmers. I love the farmers. Go ahead.
And then on Russia and Ukraine, obviously your administration has been having talks with each side. Given that there is no peace deal at this point, will your administration stay engaged in those talks to effort a peace deal?
We just want to see people stop from being killed. You know, we don't, as you know, Joe Biden gave them $350 billion. You know what I gave them? Nothing. I did give them javelins at the beginning and knocked out a hell of a lot of attacks. But, and Obama gave sheets. Remember, Obama gave sheets and I gave javelins. But no, we have a great situation going over there, except for one problem. You got a lot of people dying, and I want to see that stop. So you have mostly Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. Last month, 27,000 soldiers died, mostly soldiers. A few people from the dropping of a missile in the middle of Kiev or wherever, which is a terrible thing. But mostly soldiers. 27,000 soldiers died last month. That's what I want to see stopped. We, as you know, we now sell equipment to NATO at full price. And NATO takes that equipment and probably gives it to Ukraine. I guess they could give it to others too, but for the most part, give it to Ukraine. And they're working with Ukraine in terms of distribution of equipment, missiles, etc. But we aren't spending money. What we are doing is spending time on a humane basis. We want to see if we can stop the killing of 27. It would have never happened. This war would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. If I were president, this war would have never happened.
President Trump, your question. You talked a lot about the soybean purchases. You talked a lot, obviously, about China's soybean purchases. Some lawmakers from North and South Carolina have raised concern that U.S. tobacco farmers were told that China would not purchase flu-cured tobacco this year. Has that come up in your conversations at all?
I haven't heard that, but we're doing well. The tobacco people, because of the deals I made, they're doing very well. But that could be, if it's the case, I can get it solved very quickly.
Do you know how you settled on this $12 billion or $11 billion plus one more $billion figure?
We looked at how they were hurt, to what extent they were hurt. We did a very, steady progression of charts, and we figured out a very exact number, and it was about $12 billion. Okay?
President Trump, if you had one Christmas wish for America besides making American farmers great again, what would it be?
I would say very simply, I go by a statement when people ask that question. Remember that question was asked to Ted Kennedy, and they said, well, what are you going to do to make America great? And he couldn't answer the question. I have a very simple, we're going to make America greater than ever before, and we're going to do it through a series of tariffs, intelligent taxes, and incentives. And our country has never been stronger. We've never had anything like coming in. We have $18 trillion coming into our country right now. There's never been anything like it. And if you ask me that, I'll say I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because there's never been anything like it's happened.
Do you support
the biggest number ever in history was $2 trillion. And we're at $18 trillion. This is money pouring into our country on building car plants, on building AI plants. We just want to keep doing exactly what we're doing because nothing like this has ever happened in the history of the world, not just our country. There's never been, Scott, would you say that's right? There's never been anything like the investments coming into America.
So this is a record year. Record year.
Do you support the Paramount deal, sir?
On healthcare, Mr. President, 22 million Americans are expected to see their healthcare insurance premiums start to rise by the beginning of next year.
You're talking about because Obamacare is so bad?
Yes, well, sir, because the Obamacare subsidies are expiring. Are you going to do
That's
any?
because Obamacare is so bad.
What is the Republican plan? Are you going to let that happen on your watch?
What I'm going to do is, if the Democrats go along with it, which they don't want to because they want to make the insurance companies very rich, okay? I want the money to be paid to the people to go out and buy their own health care instead of paying to the, you know, the insurance companies, their stock has gone up 1,700% in a short period of time. Did you know that? 1,700. You wish your corn went up, right? But the insurance companies, stock has gone up by 1,700%, 1,800%. They're taking in trillions of dollars. I don't want to pay the insurance companies anything. And I know a lot of them, but they're owned by the Democrats. And the Democrats have, Obamacare is a setup to make insurance companies rich. And I want to pay the people, and I want the people to go out and buy their own health care. And that's what we want to do, and that's what the Republicans want to do, because Obamacare is a disaster. And I said it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it was always a disaster. It's bad health care that's too expensive for people. And now your premiums, and you said it better than I said it, you said the Obamacare premiums are going to go up. They're going way up. And what I want to do is have the money, and you know who's getting that money? A lot of it is the insurance companies. I want the people to get the money and go out and buy their own health care. And everybody wants that, right? Okay.
When Mr. President's putting that bill on the floor, sir.
Do you have any reaction on the fine that was imposed to X by the European Union?
For what?
To X, to the platform X, the fine that the European Union
pretty
imposed.
amazing. You're talking about, is that European Union or is it, who did that? European Union or UK?
The European Commission.
Whoa, that's a nasty one.
Do
I
you
don't
consider it
know.
an attack?
Elon has not called me to ask for help in that one. But no, that's a tough thing. I don't think it's right. No, I don't think it's right. I don't see, how they can do that. No, I'll speak about it later. I'm going to get a full report on it. Look, Europe has to be very careful. They're doing a lot of things. We want to keep Europe. Europe is going in some bad directions. It's very bad for the people. We don't want Europe to change so much. They're going in some very bad directions. That was a big thing.
You directed a review of the childhood vaccine schedule, possibly to match what is on par with peer nations in Europe. Would you support ending federal mandates and just making those recommendations for schools?
You're going to have to say it again.
As far as the vaccine
Louder.
As far as the vaccine schedule for children, would you support ending the federal mandates and making it optional for schools?
Well, we're looking at a lot of things having to do with vaccines and with the different. I think we take like 88 different shots, all wrapped up in one big glass of stuff like that. And we're going to be reducing it very substantially.
Do you support the Paramount
It'll be safe,
bid, Mr. President?
but we're going to be reducing it very
Do you
substantially.
support the Paramount bid for Warner Brothers that came
I don't
this
know enough
morning?
about it.
You spoke about Netflix last night, saying you have concerns about them.
I know the companies very well. I know what they're doing, but I have to see what percentage of market they have. We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount, the percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. I want to do what's right. It's so very important to do what's
The
right.
Paramount deal is supported by Jared Kushner, Mr. President. Would that impact your decision?
If Paramount is, I don't know. I've never spoken to him about it. He's really trying to work on Gaza. I think his primary thing is Gaza.
If you're making house visits on Christmas Eve, as he suggested, does the beast need to be fitted with sleigh reels?
You want to answer that question?
Absolutely. We should put sleigh rails on the beast, yes.
Madam Secretary, do you support that?
Go ahead.
That Republican plan that you just talked about when it comes to health care, when do you expect Republicans to put that
We're
on?
looking at it very strongly, and we're also going to the Democrats and asking them to do it. The Democrats want to make the insurance companies rich, They're all paid off by the insurance companies. A tremendous amount of the insurance company funding goes to Democrats. Why don't you ask that question of the Democrats? Because I would love to do it. I'd love all of the money to go to the people. They go to the people. You know, I put that out 2 weeks ago. It became #1 viral. People love it. I want the money to go for healthcare, to go to the people and let the people buy their own healthcare through an account. They can buy their own healthcare. And everybody loves it, except for the Democrats. And you know why they don't? Because they're paid off by the insurance companies. Okay, what else?
Yeah, Alina Habba says she's stepping down as U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey after the courts disqualified her. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, she's not disqualified. You've got a blue slip thing that's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It makes it impossible to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney, and it's a shame. And the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves that they allow this to go on, because I can't appoint a U.S. attorney that's not a Democrat, because they put a block on it. So if you appoint in Virginia or in New Jersey or in California a U.S. attorney or a judge, I mean, a judge situation is ridiculous. The only people that you can get by are Democrats, because they will put a hold on it. If I put up George Washington and Abraham Lincoln to be U.S. attorney in New Jersey, or to be U.S. attorney in Virginia, we have Democrat senators, they will not approve them. And this is a gentleman's agreement that's lasted for too long, and it doesn't make it, especially in light of what's going on today. It means you can't appoint a Republican U.S. attorney, and we don't play the same game with them, but they do. And I hope that somebody speaks to Senator Grassley about doing something about the blue slip, because I'm telling you, John, I put up great people, top people, highest education, the best lawyers to be like U.S. attorney, and both senators, it only takes one, but if they're Democrat senators, they say we're not going to approve it. I had a couple of them say, why don't you appoint Democrats? All because Senator Grassley, with his blue slip stuff, will not let anybody go by. By the way, the Democrats have violated the blue slip provision on numerous occasions, but we don't do it. And what it means is, I guess I just have to keep appointing people for 3 months and then just appoint another one. And it's a very sad situation. We're losing a lot of great people. We have about 7 U.S. attorneys who are not going to be able to keep their jobs much longer because of the blue slip. Because I think I know why they did that, to protect their ass. Okay, that's why they did that. But it should be done away with. I want to be able to appoint the most highly educated, the most respected people. They can't keep their jobs because of the blue slips. Terrible. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. The farmers, let's come into the Oval Office. All right, Deb, come on. We're going to go into the Oval Office. You're going to see what a real office is. Keep your little...
All right, so President Trump laying down the hammer. Once again, some stupid reporters. They can't stay on point. They always seem to fray. He said, I want questions about the farmers. And the next thing you're asking is about boat strikes. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, looks like I've made it through the show without fainting or losing my breath. So I will thank you guys for hanging out through the technical difficulties as well as my own difficulties. But we made it. We got there, and I thank you guys very much. Let me go ahead and do super chats and move on. Obviously, you can tell I'm laboring with this cold. There won't be a show tonight. There's no way I can pull out a second show tonight, so there won't be one tonight. And you can blame Robin. She's like, nope, bring your behind home and drink some chicken soup and just chill for the evening. So that's what I'm gonna do. Excuse me. But I feel much better. Who's texted me? Wait a minute. Let's see who that was. Real quick. That's her texting me. Yep. She's laying down the law. Hey, listen, if I missed your super chat from earlier, I apologize. the stream went down and I had to reconnect very quickly. I greatly appreciate it, but I lost the entire stream at that point. So, but for the super chats right now, let me go ahead and do this. Bring it on. All right, Fikowski, thank you. Fikowski, 3 times, 4 times. Tammy, you couldn't keep it quiet. Barry Panium at Circensem. Medicine. The reason I'm calling him with his real name, Soros Giorca. Who is that? Or that's Soros you're talking about? And for Bibles, thank you very much. By the way, we have a new bunch of Bibles coming in, so we're going to get out probably another 150 Bibles this week. Hopefully you guys can get your Bibles before Christmas. All right, so I'm going to go drink some nice chicken soup from a great deli here in Boca. I wish you guys a good evening. Thanks for bearing with all the problems we had today. Every day I get better. I get better by the hour, as you can hear me right now. Just by resting and letting President Trump talk for an hour, I feel even that much better. See, earlier, because I was handling everything, it was hitting me. Now I feel good. I'll be okay. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in.
To certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in a fields where they lay, keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.